Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know how. Folks, it is time to stick with the Dark Horse comics because it's about to get good. The next comic book series you have to read is by John Ostrander and it's called Darkness. Now it took place during Star Wars issues 32 through 35. And in this one, after the last adventure with Quinlan Vos, the Jedi Council just doesn't trust him. But it doesn't stop these people called the Guardians from the planet Kifix to call him in to help investigate a threat that's happening on their planet. Now, they're calling Quinlan Vos because he has some Guardian history. His past is with them. So it continues the storyline of Quinlan Vos, which already I've talked to you about. I think it's awesome. This is where John Ostrander really got to start building a name for himself because I started noticing who he was after the first Quinlan Vos series, I think. But then as every story just kept getting better and better, and it builds. It's getting that much better. I was just further and further intrigued into the storyline and the character who is Quinlan Vos. So Darkness is no different than the other stories. I think it's well done and definitely worth your time. Now after that, the next one you need to read is the way you just continue on through the Star Wars comic books. It would be the Stark Hyperspace War, again written by John Ostrander. All these are written by John Ostrander. And it's issues 36 through 39. And this is where a pirate who's called Stark, he controls the supply of Bacta. And the Jedi Council wants to, they send out a Jedi team to bring him into justice, you know, because he's cornering the market on Bacta and they really need it. Now, the Trade Federation is part of this storyline. This is kind of building up to what will eventually be Episode 2, the Clone Wars and Wars breaking out. The Jedi are just trying to put out a lot of fires. And it seems like every time they put out a fire, two more pop up. Of course, we know who's stirring that all up. But I love this because it's showing a lot of struggles and a lot of stories going around. By the way, Stark Hyperspace War is a great comic book series. I love it. But another reason that I love it is all this stuff is going on, and then we have the Obi-Wan Anakin story as they're growing along. That's why it's so fun to have another adventure happening when you know Obi-Wan and Anakin are having so many adventures together. But theirs is not the only important story. Other people's adventures, what happens to them, what's going on in the Republic at this time, within that 10-year gap between Phantom Menace and Clone Wars, a lot is going on, more than just the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan. Now, they could have stuck with just Anakin and Obi-Wan stories, and guess what? I would have been the first one in line to buy up all those books and all those comics. They could have documented every day in the life of Obi-Wan and Anakin. It could have been filled with tons of adventures, but they didn't. They decided to explore other options, explore new characters, not even characters from the movies, but even new characters, bring them to light in this comic book series. And Dark Horse really did a fine job during this time building up to the anticipation that we all had for the Clone Wars. So this comic book series, John Ostrander does a great job, but I don't want you to stop there. There's Star Wars issues number 40 and 41, written by John Ostrander again, called the Devorian version. And this is the recounting of the old comic Jedi Council Art of War, but it's through the eyes of Vili, the Devorian. Now, when I first heard about this comic book, I was not so excited because here we are getting basically an Infinity's Tale, right? It's not really the story of what happened, just basically a recounting, a funny comedic version, I should say, and it's lasting 2 issues. And if you know me, I don't like Infinity stuff. I loved this series. I love the 2 books. They are, in my opinion, probably the funniest 2 comic books I have ever read within Star Wars. And yes, I've read Tag and Bink, and I think they're funny too, but that is definitely not canon. Whereas the Devorian version can be canon because it's told through the eyes of Vili. And it'll break into the action where Vili's trying to say, shut up, here, let me finish my story, and stuff like that. And it's really funny. I really enjoy it more than I thought I would. And you know John Ostrander had a fun time writing this because it's just all one big laugh-a-thon. Vili is a great character. I already loved him at this point, but after that little mini-series with him within the Star Wars ongoing series, I was like, man, Villy's one of the best. And if you haven't read any about Villy, you are doing yourself a disservice. He is a fantastic character. Like I said, he and Quinlan Voss, baby, they make a great team, and I love it. I love it. All right, folks, that is all the time I have today, but we'll be back next week with another video.